Everybody. Welcome to a live stream of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I am Blue, and I am joined by friend of the channel, Ludo History.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to be taking a little dive through Assassin's Creed Valhalla and expressing feelings about what it does and does not do, and maybe should have done and definitely should not have done.
Yeah.
Right now, we're in the part of the game where we have just arrived in England. And we are about to go off to take command of our longship to go down this river to go give some poor monks a very bad afternoon.
Yep.
Tell us if our levels are all right. Our volume should hopefully be balanced, and hopefully the game is not overpoweringly loud. But if it is, we can make a couple of adjustments. Yes, this is our burb. Our eagle friend, whose name I forgot, instead of, and by eagle friend, I mean our raven friend. Previous Assassin's Creed games have had an eagle companion who leads you through the world, but in true to Odin fashion, in this game we have a raven, even though I don't think you can domesticate ravens. I don't.
They actually did in the Viking Age. The most famous instance of this, I think the one it is explicitly referencing, is Hrafnafloki,
Okay.
who in 872 actually is the first person to spend the winter in Iceland. When he's traveling there from the Faroe Islands,
Okay.
he brings 3 ravens with him, which, by the way, this is just straight up borrowing from the Book of Genesis. Not exactly the most reliable historical account.
Yeah.
So he brings 3 ravens with him. The first one flies back towards the Faroe Islands. The second one circles around and then perches on top of the mast, and so he knows he still isn't close to frickin' anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one flies to land. But somehow, he must have gotten lost on the way because he ends up in the Westfjords. And he gets there, and he spends the winter, and he looks into the fjord, it's a bad year, so it's full of sea ice. And he looks at the glaciers and decides that this place frickin' sucks. And that's why Iceland is called Iceland.
Beautiful.
And by the way, the raven's name is Sinin. In the game, it calls it Sunin, but that's actually just wrong.
Yeah.
In reconstructed Old Norse, it would be Synin, with that umlaut sound, but Synin, which literally means the site.
Well, Assassin's Creed is rarely not on
Subtly.
the nose with a character named Altair, a fucking Latin name for a Levantine assassin.
Yup.
But if Sunan is not Old Norse, is that closer to a modern Icelandic or Norwegian,
Nope.
or is that just like pulling out of their ass?
Modern Icelandic would be Sinin.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know
So,
like
it's
tracking vowel shift is an art unto itself, and
Absolutely.
I know a lot of modern media will tend to cut out the effort and just use a modern version of the pronunciation. Ooh, I just got a big...
Which, to be fair, as in someone with degrees in this, I use the modern pronunciation too. There's some arguments to use reconstructed Old Norse, but they are bad. And modern Icelandic is better in every way. The argument often stated for modern Icelandic is, oh, it will help you actually speak Icelandic to people. This is not true. But what it will do is it's just nice and consistent, and it's a easy to learn standard for people instead of trying to learn, is it 15th century Old Norse, or is it 14th century, or is it 9th century?
Yeah.
Good luck getting that consistency. And also, we kind of argue about a few of the detailed pronunciations, so, it's just easier to use modern.
That is entirely valid. As someone who unabashedly likes using quote-unquote church Latin for my Latin pronunciations, I can sympathize with that. It's like, we know what we're working with. Why fuss?
Exactly.
Also,
There's
I find it
no
interesting in
arguments.
this monastery raid that we lose synchronization for killing civilians. What the hell does this game think a monastery raid is? If
a
not
good question.
killing civilians?
What counts as a civilian in a raid, by the way? That was the one question we had, of, we'll desync if we kill civilians, but who actually counts for that?
Yeah, so the way that this raid is working is, we have these bodyguards in a church for some reason.
Uh-huh.
Heavily armed
Sure.
soldiers in a monastery, the place where you often find heavily armed soldiers, he said, lying. So it seems like their justification for making monastery raids a combat experience and not just a slaughter fest is that, oh, yes, these churches have figured out that Vikings are, bad news and have taken to stocking garrisons of soldiers in them, which I don't think is backed up by anything historically relevant.
Mostly no, but
Yeah.
it's not like bishops or clergy were pacifists by any metric in early medieval England. They were very much not, and some of them were very militarily involved, including funding fyrds, or
Yeah.
the kind of semi-professional levy that is the standard military unit for the time period in this part of the world.
Yeah. So this is definitely a case where they're making concessions for the sake of gameplay, but it definitely obscures the fundamental Viking experience of killing civilians. So
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah,
and
go on raids, forge your saga, murder indiscriminately. It's like, yeah, the Vikings also were humans with thoughts and feelings, but let's not pretend like they didn't win their glory from doing some real nasty things.
yep, that is definitely true and important to keep in mind.
Oh, I died.
But
Wow.
yeah, you don't look like you're doing so hot.
Oh boy, I fully died.
Rip. Uh, but let's see. I guess the argument for it is that it kind of makes them, a little bit uh, less friendly to people who want to go be murder hobos.
Yeah.
And making a Viking game less murder hobo-y is a small decision to kind of make the game unfriendly to certain groups of people, which
Yeah.
I will not complain about, even
Oh,
if
for
it
sure.
fundamentally obscures who was acceptable targets for violence.
Yeah.
That
I
being
think.
said,
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna tangent, but you keep going.
yeah, one more thought on that. There were cases of them just indiscriminately murdering in villages. There were also cases where, they'll kill everyone who ran out to fight and then talk to the remaining people, and the women would kind of pay them off and then they'd leave.
Yeah.
Or the other option of you take everyone as slaves, and that's technically not murder.
Yeah. Schlep them over to Ireland. Yeah. I think the problem with the Viking setting, and specifically having someone who is a Viking protagonist, where you are threading the needle between giving someone a combat experience and being able to do these fun, exciting, sea landings like, D-Day style, yada yada yada, but then also showing that, oh, like, Vikings were a community of people who had to work hard to survive and make a life for themselves beyond just the murder. Like, it was a very multi-part affair. It's a problem of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you show that, yeah, the Vikings were people who didn't just destroy, they built, they created communities. They, in many ways, they began contributing to their new homelands in various different ways as time went on. It still is the problem of, like, okay, then are you needing to glorify the violence they did to get to that point? So it feels like a fundamentally unwinnable situation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's a problem of the setting they chose and the way that they and the way that they chose to present the game. It's an unwinnable scenario.
Absolutely. And I would choose. I think I would make a very similar choice to what the game designers did in their place of, given the choice in between two things that you just can't win, do the choice that presents more nuance and gives you more room to do other things.
For sure.
Instead of indulging in the murder hobo fantasy
Yes.
past the point of problems.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I've been seeing some comments about, oh, but could clergy not use swords and therefore they used maces instead because that didn't shed blood? That's the player's handbook of Dungeons and Dragons lies to you. It makes literally everything up. There was no ban on bloodshed, and also, if you have ever seen someone get hit by a club or a mace, you bleed after that.
Yeah, no, yeah, you are toast. you will be bleeding and probably a couple bones will come out.
And speaking of maces, they didn't exist in this time period. I just saw a guy with a hammer, that you were dealing with,
Yeah.
someone with a big two-handed maul. Don't. There are no historically attested warhammers in, I think globally, in the 9th century.
Yeah,
Certainly
that was
in
a
Europe.
that was a weapon that was made to deal with plate armor, right? Yeah.
It is absolutely.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love about the development of weapon history is that it is always an arms race where one development offensively produces a development defensively, and then it feeds into itself. So you always see what is a reaction to something else. So whenever someone gets a shiny new weapon, suddenly you have shiny new defensive weapons, because it's either that or game over. So yeah, the Warhammer looks cool, was not around at this point in the game, and that's a problem with a lot of how this game works, is that there's so many things that are later additions by 1 or 2 or more centuries. In the case of the Danax is rarely plausible at this point in time, but really not a main feature of armed combat until the Norman period in the 1000s, which is fully 2 centuries after this game takes place. So there's a lot of things they want to include that really skirt the boundary of what would have been believable for this setting. And it's frustrating because, like, my dudes, you could have just set the game later and it would have been fine, but you wanted this setting, so if you put it in 800, you're gonna need to limit yourself to 800s things.
Exactly. They clearly wanted this game to actually be set in the 990s, but they also wanted to cash in on the Ragnarsons.
Yeah, the Sons of Ragnar get name dropped a lot in this game, at least in the early game. And again, we're only like a couple hours in. Actually, we'd be further if not for my experience with one of the quests that I got locked out of because of a glitch that literally stopped me from progressing. So about 2 hours in, I had to delete my save file, uninstall, and restart the game from scratch, which was a very frustrating way to begin. You might have seen me angry tweeting about it yesterday. So that was a little bit annoying. But
Yep.
Rampage, look at us.
Yep. By the way, chat, Red will be joining in chat later. There will otherwise be too many people on the call at the same time.
Yeah, Cyan will be joining us in a bit when she returns from work. But for now, you're stuck with us.
Except that Red just showed up in chat. So
hello. Red, hello. I rescind that. You are no longer stuck with us. Let's see. Is there anything nearby? Oh man, we really messed this place up.
By the way, the one exception to things being super later is that in the trailers they've been showing us these like brute enemies who, despite using a non-existent fictional weapon known as a mace on a very long chain,
flails.
Their weapons and armor is based on the Sudden Who burial from the
oh really?
7th century.
Oh, that's very cool.
The kind of like folded over kaftan thing with then the full face covering is directly inspired by finds from Sudden Who, which is an East Anglian burial from the early 7th century.
Yeah, one of the most famous Viking burials, right?
It's pre-Viking. It's significantly pre-Viking, but certainly one of the best known Germanic mound burials in Northern Europe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, so let's hop back on our longboat here. And again, a piece of
you did a
aesthetics
raid.
That is not true to life. My understanding is that these dragon masts are exceedingly rare in the archaeology and may have been more of an operatic invention by Wagner in the 1800s, as many elements of the Viking aesthetic are.
This particular style looks to me like it is kind of sort of mostly attested in that we have dragon prows. It's something called, the specific type of ship is actually called a dragon or drakar for it. But our type is primarily in what is known as the Oseberg type, after the Oseberg ship burial from around 800. which is a very rounded style. It looks kind of derpy, to be honest. But what's the big one? Oh yeah, Oliver Tryggvason's Drakar is said to be the largest ship ever constructed in Northern Europe in the Middle Ages.
Damn.
And that's from the late 10th century.
Yeah. And that's when you have, you know, Byzantines and Venetians running around, and even that is bigger. That's... Oop, Doc. Hold on.
Yeah, yep. By the way, it sounds like we may be a little bit quiet.
Quiet?
Red, just let me know.
I
Yeah.
can fix that. The game too loud, they mean?
Good question. Chat, why don't you tell us? Is the
I'm
game
going to
too
bump
loud?
us both up a little bit, and then
Yeah.
we'll see what that accomplishes. Okay. Because sometimes this is just a very loud game. Alright, we resume. And also just the outfits these characters are wearing are all
Oh yeah,
nonsense.
the outfits are kind of super duper nonsense.
Objectively nonsense. It's like, how many pieces
Yeah.
of leather can you throw on someone? Which, there's a really good video from Shadiversity, a friend of the channel, talking about why there is almost no reason to wear leather armor when Gambison is way more effective for the effort it takes to make. Especially if it's layered to a considerable degree. So, yeah, leather armor looks cool, is silly.
Interesting. Red says everything is quiet, including the game.
Oh, well.
Which is neat. I don't
Okay,
know what
so
the option is except to turn up the audio.
Yeah, let me bump our settings up as much as I can, but that's all I got, unfortunately. I don't think I have much control over master volume over here.
Sounds like it's better.
This is wonderful, Eivor. A forge bigger and harder than my old forge back in Fornberg.
What's a shame though is like in the very beginning of the game when we get to play as baby Eivor,
I will go.
all of those
Have no
clothing
doubt.
was really good for like everybody all the way through. And then adult Eivor just like forgot what style is.
Hello and well met.
Uh-oh. Did I dead?
Hold on. Alright, Red says video's a bit quiet.
Yep. Technical problems. Chad is saying it's all good now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Why don't you
Yeah.
upgrade my
have
gear?
you got
Let's
for me
upgrade
today?
some gear.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, the problem with a Gambazin is that it's quilted linen or quilted wool. It's kind of your two options, which
Oh, I can't.
is totally doable given that one of the main currencies of Viking Age Scandinavia is elves or arm lengths
I do
of,
good work,
or
I
sorry,
must
two
say.
arm stretched lengths of
May I see your
Vadmal,
stores?
or literally homespun fabric. Is like one of the big trading currencies all throughout the Middle Ages. Which means that they had plenty of stuff with which to make gambazins, but it's a whole lot of material that has to be quilted together,
Done for now.
and a lot leather is kind of sort of attested in the Middle Ages,
see you
though
later,
kind of
friend.
the specifics of
Fight
what that
well,
necessarily entailed is not always transparent.
That's fair. And I guess that is a recurring problem of doing this kind of like material culture thing, is like we don't have a lot of this stuff because
Exactly.
the chainmail survives, everything else disintegrates, and maybe we have some drawings or writings about it, but other than that, we're all kind of guessing.
We have none pairs of pants from the Viking Age. We have ones from
Now that
before, we
you're
have ones from
ambassador
after, we have
settled,
none
what
during.
will you do?
Yeah.
Have work to do, starting in the cities of England.
Hold on,
London,
Cyan is,
Jorvik,
I think,
Winchester.
almost back.
All three are
Woohoo.
infested by members of the same order to which Kjotve belonged, but their reach extends much further than this.
Who is
So
this?
they're talking about the three main cities, London, Jorvik, and
They cause here the same term, Celtic calls
Winchester?
it.
yeah, Winchester. I was like, what's the Westchester? Chestershire? Which one's the sauce and which one's the town? But it's cool that they each kind of represent
You have strong feelings
stylized
about this.
different parts of English history. So Jorvik is way ahead of schedule, like very like Scandinavian themed, because they say like, oh yeah, Ragnar and his army like totally subdued the Northumbrian people. So Jorvik is very like aggressively hyper stylized as Scandinavian, even though it would have taken a little while to get to that point. Winchester was like the big medieval like Wessex city for the kingdom of Alfred the Great, so it was the place with the tallest buildings in England. And London, even though it's obviously what we think of as like the capital, oh, I need more building things, darn. Even though we think of London as the capital, it was just a busted up husk of the Roman Empire. So from the images I've seen of it, it's very run down. It's a bunch of ruins. They haven't brought in the wrecking crews to go clean up. It's just a bunch of very old Roman things.
I was actually super duper worried about that, because in this time period the walled city of London is abandoned.
Yeah.
In 871 to 872, the Great Viking Army overwintered in Lundenburg, the walled city, but about a decade prior, the English people left and settled in Westminster, Lundenwich, or London Port.
My finest weapon.
So they were about a mile outside of the city, in an unwalled settlement. And it isn't until 886 that Alfred the Great refounds the walled city of London,
Okay.
which is the one that persists to this day.
Yeah.
I need no special treatment.
Yeah, so my goal for this slate of streams is to be able to show off London and talk about some Roman ruins, but I don't think I am powerful enough at the moment to go down there without getting immediately eviscerated by the city guard. I was talking to one of my friends who's further ahead in the game than I am, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not even ready to go to London. I'm too underpowered."
The game came out like yesterday. How can someone be much farther in the game?
Long story short, he got an early copy. Very legally. He had connections, but he got himself an early copy.
But even so, I wanted an
yeah.
early copy. We're content creators. We should be given early copies of things.
Oh no, we don't deserve anything. We go around saying, "Oh, give this to me. I'm an influencer. I'll give you exposure."
Better than many I have slept in, and a good place to recover.
And by the way, some people are asking how the heck this is an Assassin's Creed game, and I actually liked the way they made it an Assassin's Creed game.
It's there's a similar. This game was written by Darby McDevitt, and it suffers from, or I wouldn't say suffers from, but it. Hello, Cyan. It has a similar feel about it as the last game that Darby McDevitt wrote, which was Assassin's Creed 4, the pirate one, where people say, "Oh, it's not an Assassin's Creed game, it's a pirate game." And I mean, obviously, the historical setting definitely takes precedence here, but there are, as we'll have to wait and see how the story goes, there are a lot of ways in which a game can be very Assassin's Creedy, with the thematic elements of like the conflict between the Assassins and Templar order versus freedom and stuff like that. So there's a lot of Assassin's Creedy things that can be added into the mix, even though this is still on the surface a Viking game. I would say Assassin's Creed Odyssey suffers from being the least Assassin's Creedy because there are no hidden ones. There is no Order of the Ancients. It's 400 years before the origin story game, which is Assassin's Creed Origins, which is Cleopatra, Ptolemaic Egypt. So this game, just by virtue of having the hidden ones in it and the Order of the Ancients in it, is much more an Assassin's Creed game than even the last one. So and this one has social stealth, so that's something.
And the Order of the Hidden Ones is actually from the Levant and has set up in Constantinople when they get picked up at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, so that's actually really cool. Yeah, it's a really cool aspect of the game.
Randomly globetrotting, they're using real trade routes in order to spread through and convert an otherwise not assassin into being an assassin.
Yeah, I like that a lot because when your brother Sigurd, this guy on the right here, when he gets back, he says, yeah, you know, I came up the Volga, I met these fine chaps in Miklagard, the great city, which is what, you know, the Scandinavians called Constantinople, so it totally makes sense that Levantine assassins would be up in Constantinople, the beating heart of Mediterranean trade, where they would, you know, intersect with the Viking traders who, you know, the furthest south most Scandinavians went was to Constantinople. Most of the time, obviously, I can't say, like, you know, absolutely, but, like, that was, like, the place they were headed if they set out along the Volga. So it makes sense that that's where they'd interact. So it is cool. They do a lot of really cool, very, like, historically grounded elements here. So there are some things that we're going to be nitpicking, but, like, overall, there is a lot to like here. One of the only worries is that the things that they do right give some cover to the things that they do very wrong that, you know, because so many aspects are so detailed, you might not bat an eye at. Hi,
Pick a
dear.
side, any side.
Oh, I will go on the left because the left is usually the side that I am on.
Okay. Hello, hello.
Yep.
I can't
Hello.
hear anything, so.
I can't
Give
hear
me a
anything
sec.
either. You're in good
Oh,
company.
you have the headphones all pre-set up. Look
Yeah.
at you being super sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can hear. Hello.
Dang it! I am the only one who cannot hear now.
Wait,
Well,
yeah, Yellow, can you not hear?
No, I can hear you guys. I just have the stream muted so that I don't hear my echo and get
Oh,
super
we
tripped
can't
out.
hear the game either.
Yeah, no, it's...
But
Yeah,
I can
no.
hear you now, Yellow, and that was
Good.
what was important
Hello.
to me.
wanted to see me.
I refuse to believe that this character, Randvi, is not just Cassandra hiding in Scandinavia
Oh,
and England.
she totally is.
She has the same
I've heard-
hair!
Yeah, I've heard they
Yes,
actually
that's
just copied
how
the hair.
people exist, just only as hair.
In real life, no, but in video games, yes.
Uh,
How are you doing, dear?
I am good.
Yay.
I am
Uh-huh.
tired.
By the way,
And I
speaking of
don't
these
want to
names,
eat
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
speaking of these names, for some strange and bizarre reason, they make your adopted brother's name Sigurd, with a nice hard D sound.
You have two options
But in the same game, consistently from what I've heard, they've been using Odin instead of Odin, which means that they are using the Icelandic pronunciation, in which case Sigurd should actually be Sigurður.
I should add.
Oh.
Yeah, I have noticed that. Sometimes they do Odin, sometimes they kind of like do the TH sound like Odin. They skirt around it and do both.
There were
And
two
I've heard at
directors
least
and they couldn't agree.
I've heard at least one time where is for Thor, which is the Icelandic sound, they instead use Tor, which is the Norwegian and Swedish.
Oh.
Yeah, it is peculiar.
I love their spelling of things.
Yeah, they really go all in on the wacky spelling. Like London
Oh, yeah.
is Lunden.
Which is the old English
London.
spelling.
Which,
I
yeah,
think
it's
the
just, it's,
actual one.
the cognitive dissonance is off the charts, seeing London as Lunden.
Is the window
Uh-huh.
open or is it closed?
I can open it more.
I can open
I
it.
can.
Oh, okay.
I think
Well,
you
no,
should.
I mean, we can rock, paper, scissors for it. Oh, no, you're just gonna do it. That's
I
fine.
forfeit.
Erected.
Ah!
Okay.
It's like very humid where we are. It looks like it's about to
Ugh.
like start pouring rain. But
Yeah, we got 6 inches of snow here yesterday.
Nice.
6 inches.
It was
Oh,
wild.
hell yeah.
No, not us. He got 6.
Oh, darn. I want snow.
We had snow already.
I want more of it.
We have snow at
I
home.
also
snow at
hate
home,
this trope.
And ice cube.
Yeah, I hate this trope when
I will send
they
word to Sigurd and
throw a
Ragnarsson, pledging your
bladed weapon
assistance.
into a
If I were
perfectly
you, I
good
would
map
go
that
with
took a
shield.
very long time to
Reft is
make because
quite a
cartography
distance
was
from
hard
the
at this
bridge.
point in
Yeah,
time.
way to fuck up
Yeah.
your blade.
It frustrates me, and there's no way that the coast of England would be this well done. I mean, obviously it's a game map, but
Actually,
Well, I mean, they're boat
Let me
people, so the coast
check
would probably
that,
be the part they know.
I guess I'm just thinking of like other famous maps from the medieval period, like the Tabula Regariana from Sicily.
Hey!
Oh, Cleo,
Yeah.
hello.
You might have
Which-
actually been able to hear that meow.
Which like the coastlines are all like squiggly as hell.
I'm trying to remember if there's a actual map of just the British Isles. There is a map mundi, a world map from the 11th century, from early medieval England, which is wild.
Oh, Red's in
But-
the chat.
Yeah, Red's in the chat. I am stuck
Hi, Red.
in this conversation. Oh, geez. Did you guys see that? I was just stuck and fully could not leave.
Yep.
This game has been super glitchy for me. It regularly happens that a character's dialogue will just stop mid-sentence, and then there's like 2 seconds of silence, and then they continue speaking, but then the end of their line overlaps with the beginning of the next character's line. This game is janky, my friends.
Weird. The
You know
only
what's not
glitches I've run
janky?
into are like lighting glitches so far.
Well, you ran into that really bad glitch the other day.
Yeah, I explained my my game-breaking restart glitch.
Today was my last day of working 3 days on, 2 days off, and so now we are moving for work into, I'm gonna be in every day, but from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.?
Which is objectively
Ew.
nonsense.
So that's fun. I mean,
That's terrible.
well, so normally I'm in 8 to 4. I've been in 8 to 4 3 days a week, which is, I usually, like, in normal times work 8 to 4. So it's like 7 to 1 isn't that big of a jump for me, but it's also annoying. No traffic, though, I imagine.
Yeah, fair.
But, yeah, so next week we start that.
Yeah.
Also, my sister's birthday is tomorrow, so we
Yeah,
have
that's
to finish
exciting.
making a cake.
Yeah, we got halfway through making a cake last night, but there is
And by
there is
that,
assembly.
blue means we made the cake, we just haven't frosted said cake.
Yeah, we made all of the cake, but we haven't made like the cake. You know what I mean?
Well, we also made
Yeah.
the frosting, we just haven't assembled it.
Yeah.
Cleo, if you're sitting behind the little sound dampener, no one's gonna hear your meow.
Well, that's
That's what
Cleo.
people are here for.
Move closer so I can be overwhelmed by how cute you are. Please.
She's like, no, I need to be in the middle of everything.
God, the skill tree is jank.
By the way, some people have been, again, complaining, remember when Assassin's Creed was about assassins? Which,
No,
to
not
that
at
point,
all.
I'm going to quickly
Need to
plug
know
while
our
you
way
are
out.
dealing with menus. On my channel, which is twitch.tv/ludohistory, I am
Link should be
currently
in the
playing
channel
Assassin's Creed
description.
1
Should be there.
as a point of comparison.
I would love to join you on one of those streams. Unfortunately, I couldn't join you for the first one, but
Yep.
At some point, I would love to
Absolutely.
participate because
Yes.
Assassin's Creed 1 is damn fun. I
It is.
still have a soft spot
but-
for that game, even though it like isn't the best like gameplay wise. It's still
Nah,
like
it's fine.
fun.
They're doing a God of War 5 Ragnarok?
Yes, they
Yes,
are.
God of War Ragnarok has been announced.
Yeah,
looks
someone asked
real
how,
cool.
what you guys think about it.
Oh, I'm so jazzed. The
I'm
first God of War
pretty
game
hyped.
was fun. They made a really good game that also happened to have like a lot of cool aspects of the mythology, very like God of War style, because they don't play it 100%, but they change the myths in interesting ways. So I am excited for it. I think it can end up being quite fun.
I am amused at the fact that there are like 2 or 3 names for any Norse-themed game. You must include at least 1, preferably 2 of the following. Vikings, Ragnarok, and Valhalla.
Yeah.
Yes.
Easy.
Someone also
I think you may
said
have eaten something that did not
blue
agree
and
with you.
yellow trireme versus longship, and I don't know if they're calling blue a trireme and yellow a longship, or if they're like asking you to duke it out, or if they're asking which one you prefer. But
Why
I'd
not
like to
both?
think that they're defining you two as ships.
If we're having the contest, I have to concede longships are far superior to triremes. It's a boat design that's 1,500 years improved. Like, it's better. I'm sorry, longships are better.
Oops. That's fine.
It's just
It's just gonna restart outside of active hours. How
Yellow.
put
Do you have
someone in?
thoughts on the
There we
trireme
go.
longship debate?
I mean, I agree. I think, actually, if they weren't just a straight fight, the trireme would win because it has that ram on the front.
Yeah.
And while the longship's probably faster, if the trireme can hit the longship, it will just obliterate that hull. Because longships were built with what's known as a clinker style.
Yeah.
So it's actually overlapping planks of wood that swell up in the water to seal it. But that means it's actually pretty fragile. So if you can ram it, you will splinter the hull quite easily, and then it just sinks. But the longship is more maneuverable and faster in the water.
Yeah,
So-
I think, you know, if you wanted to build a culture on one or the other, the longship is definitely the move, because you can go open sea, you can do rivers. There's just a lot of opportunities available to you if you're using a longship, as opposed to the trireme, which is like great for organized war, but you know, really is going to be tough if you're trying to, you know, go and land anywhere.
Someone also said
By the way,
red is a triangular rigged ship.
Ow.
Yep.
Got a face full of
I
dirt.
appreciate this guy's amount of subtlety in his name. He is just literally a murderer.
Murderer.
And that
yeah.
is his entire defining personality.
Someone also said it is quiet. I don't know what is
we
quiet.
The stream's been quiet. Unfortunately, our audio is actually maxed out on our end. Yeah. Sadly.
Yep.
So, sorry. Is it the game audio that's quiet?
No,
or is it
just
our
everything.
audio that's quiet?
Whole thing.
Ah,
Yeah.
wacky.
I think our audio is proportionate to the game, but everything is just kind of. Yeah.
Also, to the people spamming the chat, I can and will and have been putting you in timeout.
Oh, I've just been straight up banning. I've been straight up muting
there you
people
go.
totally.
I've just
So-
been timeouting people as I see them.
Putting people in timeout in chat is a powerful feeling.
Yep. And by the way, there's been a recommendation to go listen to Einar Selvik, who is one of the people who worked on the music for this game. And I can kind of second that. He does interesting things. Wardruna is the name of the band, and he uses actual Viking Age and even pre-Viking Age sometimes poetry as his lyrics, and
That's
uses
cool.
reconstructed instruments in his music, but then the melodies and overall tonality is blended with modern stuff.
That's
So it is
cool.
It is extremely cool. He's not my favorite one of the people who do that kind of thing, but he does good work.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other composers in that space. Bear McCreary is the guy who did the soundtrack for God of War, and I don't think was going to quite that, you know, extreme. He was using some, you know, older Scandinavian instruments, but wasn't, you know, going all in, was still taking full advantage of, like, you know, modern composing techniques. But that is very cool as far as this game goes. This game was scored by also Jesper Kidd and Sarah Trackner, I think, who did the music for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So there are a lot of hands in this musical pot, which is very very cool to see. Cyan,
Yeah.
are you still warm? Because I'm still very warm.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
70 degrees
Yeah, okay,
outside
let me-
with 100% humidity.
Let me just put this on Follow the River, and I'm gonna put the air on, because this is just
Amazing.
uncomfortable.
Am I warm?
I was hoping it would get better.
To be fair,
It
I'm
did
actually not that warm because I'm constantly cold.
I am.
Yeah, there's been some mentions of like other ones like that. Halung is another one who does very similar things to Einar Selvik. But my favorite one, there's a group, oh gosh. It's Benjamin Bagby, is kind of the head of the group.
Cool little.
And then there's someone else, he has a whole group that's sprung up around him that does actual recreations of medieval music. And so like I've seen him a couple times in concert. Once where he did like the first third of Beowulf with an early medieval English harp accompanying it. And it was rad.
That's cool.
Oh, is that the one that I showed you? Because I showed you the video of someone chanting Beowulf, right?
I think it might have been. Yeah, it might have been it if it wasn't something similar but
I don't know.
different. Yeah. Where the hell are we? I went away to go close the windows and turn on the air, and suddenly we're in Roman ruins. I'm not complaining.
Suddenly we're
Oh,
in
there it is. Sequentia is the name of the full group. I saw the Carmina Burana, the actual manuscript. A bunch of the songs from that were put in. I saw a concert of a bunch of those, and those were awesome.
Oh wow, look
Is
at
this-
this!
is this
Oh, that
Roman?
is huge. Okay, this is
Holy
actually something
crap.
that I got from the from some behind the scenes videos. They talked about they deliberately upscaled the size of Roman ruins to convey the like majesty of what all these ruins felt like to the inhabitants of England, which I recognize as a development trick
I was gonna
to
say,
sell scale. but
Sounds
is
like they just
pretty-
made it so you could climb it.
They made it bigger and climbable, and
Yeah.
honestly, this temple is ludicrously big.
That
I-
temple is
size.
yeah,
like,
and also
it's just so
if
thick.
by the mentality that doesn't exist, there's very little evidence from medieval sources that they really, while obviously they loved classical written sources and classical philosophy and treatises on medicine and everything, the actual architecture there isn't a whole lot of evidence that they noticed or cared about to the extent that this implies.
Yeah.
And similarly, like, Stonehenge is going to be a big frickin' deal in this game.
Yeah.
There are, like, no medieval descriptions of Stonehenge.
Yeah, I feel like it's the kind of thing. It's like, oh, it's just a bunch of rocks. Okay, next. And it wasn't until whenever that historians were like, oh my gosh, it's so insanely old. But
Yeah.
back to medieval sources.
It's
like,
an early
okay,
modern. As
cool.
usual,
It's
blame the
some
early
rocks.
modernists. Cause yeah, the 17th century frickin' adored Stonehenge.
Yeah. 43. Oh, you know what? There are assassin thingies in this game, and I think that's what this this marker that we have over here is leading us towards. Let's
Ooh.
jump down a little bit. Yeah, because
God,
the
is
whole
that-
Casual.
On your overhead display, there's one that is a rune on a book.
Yes, these are this one is, they're called Books of Wisdom, which basically give
Uh-huh.
you new combat abilities.
I just want to focus on that rune on a book thing. Because while there were codices of runes,
I should not
they are
be
composed
seeing this here.
extremely late, and use a different runic alphabet than the younger Futhark,
Oh.
which is the one attested in this game.
Oops.
Uber just asked me if I wanted to favorite a driver, and I didn't realize that was a thing Uber did, because I haven't
What?
taken an Uber in a long time.
Uber, what year do you think this is?
Because it was like, usually when you do it, it's like rate and tip. I'm like, cool. It's like, do you want to favorite this driver? And I'm like, no? I don't know. I don't understand.
But yeah, this Roman stuff is cool, but definitely a little oversold from what it would have been. And I get it, Assassin's Creed is no stranger to making, historical concessions for the sake of style points, but it is especially egregious in this game. It's not necessarily that they're doing anything they haven't done before, it's just the extent to which they do it makes it really hard to go into this game and treat it as a museum of history, as we're usually able to do, like, decently well. We could say, oh yeah, that's probably what that would have looked like, even if the characters aren't completely accurate or something. But in this game, the world is so over stylized that it just gets iffy.
I feel like Odyssey had that problem right from the get-go with that ridiculously gigantic, absurd statue of Zeus in the very beginning.
Oh, yeah. There was
Yeah,
a lot weird
this-
with that game too. But at least it was all kind of fit to time period, whereas this game pulls from stuff that is about 2 centuries early and about 2 centuries late,
Yes.
and beyond. Like, we'll see full castles in this game eventually, and that is just an utter fallacy, because castles,
it's
as
a
we
time.
understand them, weren't built in England until William the Conqueror, some 300 years later.
And then they were built
Yep.
in Wales.
And then they were built in Wales. a
So
bunch.
many.
So many. How am I supposed to get into this building?
Through the window.
But it's metal barred.
Break them.
I like your thinking, Cyan.
I literally haven't seen you play any of this game so
That's
far.
true.
I've only been this is my entire. I don't even know what your character's name is because you've been playing with headphones.
The character's name is Eivor, which means
Uh-huh.
ow,
Ah,
heck.
That's how you die.
Ow.
Oh, you still didn't die. Have you
They're pretty
considered going
generous.
through the entrance?
The entrance is barred, which is the problem.
Well, how'd they get in?
Evidently
That's
somehow.
the question.
Is there a secret tunnel through the
There,
mountain?
there is probably a secret tunnel. That's almost definitely what it is.
Secret tunnel through the mountain.
Ooh.
Oh boy, people have asked about the DLCs. Thank you, Raptoras. You asked good questions. By the way, did you get the Gold Edition? Or do you
I
have the
did
Season
not,
Pass, or-
because I figured
Okay.
if I want to subject myself to the DLC, I will make that choice later.
Hey, you can join it with. You can subject yourself to it with me eventually.
Is this?
Because I did buy the Season Pass, which means when I get around to playing this game next month on stream, you guys can be subjected to Beowulf.
In England,
Son of
inexplicably.
In England, where Grendel is just the thing from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, okay, Beowulf was
Son of
maybe
Edgetheow.
written. Yeah, he was son of Edgetheow, and he spoke often. It's like, sure, this was written down in England, but to set Beowulf in England
I don't
is some hot nonsense.
Okay, so you can either
Yeah.
probably go through that thing up front, or you can just open the door.
Need to get on the other side.
That's barred from the inside.
That sucks.
Yeah.
If you keep slamming in it, they might show up eventually.
Yeah,
Fight you.
because like that looks like I should be able to break it in, but I just I can't.
Yeah. Is there a spot where you can snipe in the lock on the door?
Someone says climb to the rope on the top of the building.
All right,
Have you tried doing that?
I have not.
I would try that.
Off
Also,
I go.
someone else is screaming secret tunnel, and someone else is like, just so you know, there is no secret tunnel.
Oh, okay. Thank you, friends. The rope at the top of the building.
To the person
must
in
be
the
on the
chat
very,
who keeps
like,
asking
rope.
me to mute them, you can just not comment,
You have the power.
and then I don't have to mute you.
Where is
I'm
this
very
rope?
confused.
There is this rope.
Follow the rope.
Yay. So Paul, there's a free DLC that is already out, which is Beowulf. There is a DLC, which is the 886 Siege of Paris. And there's a DLC wherein which you will go to Ireland and beat up a druidic cult, except
Is the
not druids.
Beowulf DLC the one you tried to download that broke everything?
No, that was just an update.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh look, now you have arrows.
Block up the damn windows in the rear. Any passing nuns can see inside. Our gear, our goods. Am I supposed to be able to shoot this?
Are those fire arrows? The ones in the thing to your left? Yeah. I think you're
Ah,
supposed
yeah.
to
Now you
light
can
something on
just
fire.
shoot through the window to the lock.
Yeah. See the fire?
Yeah.
From the window. Wow. No?
That do it?
No?
Oh.
Well,
Well, your arrow's not on fire now.
Oh, yeah.
You need fire arrow.
Come on. Okay.
exactly. I mean, Red, we do know plenty of things about druids. It's just that they're all from several hundred years later and tell something completely different than our idea of what the heck it means to be a druid, according to the video games.
And it's like, sure, like, the Celtic people existed, but like, by this point,
Not like this.
they were Catholic, fam.
They were very heretically Catholic, but yes, they were Catholic.
They were at least nominally
You can
Catholic.
just say Catholic, it's fine.
No, even the other Catholics thought that the Irish were kind of doing some heresy.
Oh, I'm
but it was
sure.
fine because they were Irish.
To be fair, modern day Catholics think the Pope is doing heresy. So
That's true.
We're not gonna get into that. Is this door open now? Yeah.
So the
Hey,
worst thing
douchebags.
about making cake for someone else is that there's cake in your house, but it's not for you, which means you can't eat it. Now, if I was smart, I would have made multiple cakes. As a matter of fact, I did. However, they're both not for me.
Or we can just
I,
tell your sister that the yield was only one cake, and
Like
then
last
lie
year.
and hope that she never watches the stream.
To be fair, last year we tried to make a 2-layered cake, and one of the cakes just... Like, I cooked them both, same oven, same amount of time, same shelf, right next to each other. Should have come out the same. One came out cooked, and one was completely raw on the inside and burnt on the outside.
It was truly a weird
I
time.
do not understand what happened. So that time she actually only got one cake.
Yeah. Okay, I figured out my thoughts on these ruins. I don't like that they made the Roman ruins dummy thick, and that is the only way that I can describe them, because these
That's
ruins are
true.
truly dummy thick. It's not even that they're big, it's that they're just chonkier and denser than they otherwise would have been in real life.
Big ups to Discount Dionysus on Instagram, who just tagged me in a picture of a cat with a sign in front of it that says President of CEO, and then said Cleo. Yes, that is Cleo.
Yes. She is the best HR department I have ever had.
I don't know if she's the best HR department that I've ever had.
Our only HR department.
She's your only HR
True,
department.
yeah,
I
you-
work for a job.
You are not under
What
the
the heck
jurisdiction
is
of
Goliath?
OSPHR.
Wait, what? Who
What?
is this guy? And why is this guy?
His name says Goliath.
He's dummy thick, protecting the dummy thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have issues.
Yeah, I
I have issues with the fact that the ruins are taller than all of the trees.
yes.
I have issues with that too. It has very strange implications as to what it means to the relative level of technology for the Middle Ages and the Roman period, and kind of suggests, oh, look at how great Rome was, and leads into the quote-unquote Dark Ages narrative that the marketing
Yeah.
has been very clear about, despite it being complete historical BS.
Yeah, the first thing that Yellow, that you and I didn't like about this game was that they lead by calling it the Dark Ages, which
Yep.
is like, it's one thing to refer to something as Dark Age, as a little derogatory in comparison to, oh, it's in there, okay, in comparison to like whatever before or after. It is another thing to like broad strokes an entire historical period as that.
Unrelated, but since people in the comments are coming at me saying that I do job at place, excuse you, I do job for place. At place, in the time of COVID is questionable.
Who do you all think you are with that at?
I do jobs sometimes at place and sometimes at other place.
Oh, look at Cyan doing job at place. How fancy.
You do job at place.
Yeah.
The place is just
The place is, yeah. It's,
the apartment.
we have fun. My mom sent me a text that she was watching our stream on her TV. Hi, Mom.
Amazing.
My mom is not watching your stream. I don't think
No.
she's ever
believe
watched
Mom.
any of
No,
your
I-
streams.
I
My mom's like, that's neat.
I can't imagine that it would be first on the to-do list.
I mean, she's probably watching Hallmark movies already, knowing my mother.
Where is it down here?
Is that a person on a horse,
it's
or is
down
that a
there.
horse person?
Person on a horse. Oh, that's
I am like 15 seconds behind, so
So,
Hold on. Wait, I'm investigating.
ba-ba-ba-ba.
he's got like a Templar-looking helmet.
Yeah, that looks a lot like a Templar helmet.
What the heck?
oh yeah,
Weird. Very weird.
huh. I suppose we should go hunt him down.
Oh, he will almost surely kill us, and also he's on a horse, so he's already long gone.
Also,
Oof.
to the person who asked if the place where I work sells food, they do not. I work in the science, not in the food.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. I wish where I worked sold food. They used to have snacks, but we don't have snacks right now because of the incident.
Yeah. Alright.
Dang incidents.
I appreciate these environmental puzzles. They are quite fun, but I feel like a dunce for trying to solve them on stream.
To be fair, they're just making what you make for D&D. Because this is... Oh, can you go through that little hole right there?
I think it's too narrow, although knowing this game, probably something for me to shoot.
Well, I mean, there's a piece of wood in it, so... Have you tried throwing an axe at it?
Unfortunately, I can't throw axes
Can you
except
smack
contextually.
with axe?
No. Let's see if I can go around the side.
There's another piece of
And
wood.
of course they put a tree right there so you can't see through.
Yeah, exactly.
I still
I
have
feel like
the
it's got something to do with this.
the hurdy-gurdy thing from
BDG.
BDG. Can you shoot the wood under your feet and light it on fire and just go through it?
Not this wood, but maybe this wood.
I mean, it's on fire.
Nope.
Now you know something is a price must pay.
Oh wait, is it this? Is it this? It's this! Yeah.
Did they put a modern day pulley on that thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of hot nonsense in this game. Despite the things that are good, there is a lot of hot nonsense.
Like the fact that you didn't just light your shield on fire.
Oh, well, I mean, that could be here or there.
Carbon ingot.
Yeah, I don't know why it's carbon. Like,
Yeah, that is a
What?
very weird thing.
I get that carbon is like an important element in the process of creating steel, but I don't think that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I don't think it comes in just ingots.
Yeah. What's going on in
Uh,
chat?
People are now singing the BDG song.
Good. Cyan, have you seen my laptop?
Blue, you're going to need to explain again. What is a laptop?
What is a laptop? Oh, it's underneath our feet. Fuck.
Into the unknown.
Seriously.
I'm torn between my desire to eat chips
Oh, there we go.
and the fact that people don't like when I eat chips into the microphone on stream.
Oh, as long as you don't eat them into the microphone, it's fine.
There's no way for me to not eat them into the microphone without standing like in the kitchen.
Okay. No. Aha. Torch.
But yes, I assume what the carbon ingot actually is supposed to be is some kind of like high carbon steel.
Maybe.
Which
yeah.
then you could combine to do pattern welding with lower carbon steel, which, you know, creates a okay sword.
That is a generous interpretation, and it is maybe what they're going for.
You need to go through the no. Okay,
But it is
do that.
extremely
But
generous.
there's a little-
Also,
I can't get it from this side. That's
Why?
the problem.
Fine.
Also, what? Sorry.
a nice underground trip thingy.
Yeah, I think it's just riffing on like, oh, Romans loved catacombs. Like in some situations, yes, because in places like Rome, where it was really hard to, you know, like consistently build stuff, you needed to work vertically because the city was already so dense. But I don't think they would have been doing a lot of underground business in places that weren't like Rome or Constantinople itself, because Constantinople had the whole thing with like the cisterns to provide well water for the city in case of a siege. But I think, oh heck, I need to de-fire myself.
Yeah, there's like the London Mithraeum, which was originally half buried. But that's about all I can think of. There isn't nearly as much of a focus on.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. You can just shoot a canister of oil and it explodes
This
like
game has
gunpowder? What?
This game has a very fucky understanding of ballistics and explosives because there's a lot of explosions in this game, which is kind of like, oh, it's like you light the oil on fire. Oil burns. Oil doesn't explode when you shoot it with arrows. So there are parts of this game that we haven't gotten to yet where there are literally like explosions happening because of, you know, the sieges that you're doing. That is fully nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, at least Assassin's Creed 1 had that nonsense despite gunpowder not existing in Europe yet. But at least they could, like, kind of sort of justify it with, like, a source that describes super good Greek fire.
Yeah. It's one thing to have it in the Levant. It's a whole separate issue to be dealing with that in England. Especially, like, what? 300 years earlier compared to Assassin's Creed 1?
About like 200. Oh no, it is 300. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
because 873
late 11 is
versus...
1191.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Cleo.
So yeah,
Oh, Cleo
300
was-
years. Solid 300 years earlier. Ugh.
Crisps? Yeah.
And by the way, Red, this game actually does look better when you're playing it, but you're right. On stream, it looks kind of rubbish.
It looks very flat in places, which is what I have become frustrated by in my time with it. Okay, we're just gonna go right up this river. Oh man, I respect that the viewpoints really do give you a solid. Redwalda. Redwalda's father was a wealthy lord who Redwalda murdered his but nothing else. Yeah, I think there are these just roving baddies with like Templar-looking helmets in here for some silly reason. But anyway, we're gonna continue up this river. Anyway.
Save it for later.
Huh.
Oops, I ran aground.
Weird.
Get me out of
Are you
here.
gonna go help the Anglo-Saxon woman who
Get
is
me outta here.
shouting? You have to...
No, I happen to know, like, in this part, we're going to Leicester, which, by the way, they're using the 11th century,
Wouldn't the best way to do it just be like get out, push
spelling.
the boat slightly, and then
Unfortunately, I can't. I think
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
I'm gonna go a little upstream and then call them because they are fully stuck over there.
Can you not? Wow.
So besides historically and accurate in many ways, how fun is the game so far?
Honestly, I've been having a good time with it so far. I spent like 45 minutes in one of the Norway sections just systematically sniping literally the entire encampment
Nice.
in one of the shipyards.
It's interesting. I don't know if I'm really having fun with it yet, because for me the beginning of the game just felt like such a slog, not enhanced by the fact that I needed to restart the game. Okay, friends, show on up. There we go. I mean, I'm enjoying it because it's new and it's a novelty, but I don't think it's my favorite game so far because the minute-to-minute gameplay just feels a little bit janky. Like, coming off of Ghost of Tsushima, which is just such a smooth game to play, all of the animations are so crisp and clean, nothing is clunky, everything has, you know, like, deliberate, you know, movement, and deliberate, like, action, with it. This game is somewhat frustrating to step over to because the combat is slow and chunky, and, you know, deliberately so, but it's... it feels
Yeah.
stiff to me, and I don't really enjoy that as much.
Why
Especially,
are we discussing baklava?
Chad has a mind
we
of its
don't know
own.
question chat.
So
Yeah.
I'm open to liking it more later. I have heard from various reviewers that the beginning of the game is not the best, and I'm inclined to agree with it because the more that I play it, the more that I am enjoying it. But
She turned on your phone.
aw, Cleo, stop trying to
Aw.
swipe away my important messages.
Cleo's sitting here because she likes sour cream and onion flavored things. She cannot have them because that's not good for cats. But she will just sit here and give me like puppy dog eyes and try to take them from me. She kinda
That's
does this
deeply
with every
disturbing
carb.
given that she's a cat.
What?
But it's deeply disturbing that she's giving you puppy dog eyes as a
Yeah,
cat.
yeah, seriously.
Cleo's just manipulative like that.
Yeah, usually like if I'm eating like crackers or something, she'll usually just like take one off my plate. Or like she'll try to like get her head into the bag. She just really likes carbs. She is a carber.
Let's raid.
Oh wait, chat. You guys are complaining about the mast. That is actually something historically attested. They can take the mast down and put it in the bottom of the boat, and it is the same length, so it works. We know that is what they actually did with masts.
Yeah.
Stop complaining about one of the things they got right.
No, that one is good. Like, the way that they handle the boat is, you know, comparatively quite well done. I will stand by that one.
Now, the question of how these English people are standing in a formation of let us just randomly scatter around so that they can gang up on us is questionable. And once again, we have Goliath,
Big boy.
An old, which is not an English word for big boy. That is a borrowing from the Bible that in the period exclusively refers to Goliath. The term would have been, actually would have been a Latin borrowing, probably would use gigantes in Old English. So, Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a decision.
Let's get back to the ship.
But at least he does have a spectacle helm, which is period attested.
Yeah.
So
Some of the pieces are really good. Some of them just are head scratchers. Because, you know, for every, like, museum piece that they're copying, there's some just absolute nonsense they throw in. And again, it's frustrating because there is so much that is good, it obscures the things that are wrong, and the things that are wrong obscures the things that are right. So, like, we just got confused about the mast being wrong because it seems kind of silly, but that actually is true. And it's... hold on. Is there anything else left to do here, or are we good? The game does itself no favors because when there's just enough about it that's kind of finicky, it makes it harder to appreciate the things that are right. And by converse, when we assume that the game is good because it does some things right, we take for granted everything, and then are led astray by the things that are objectively nonsense. So
Red said just call it a Jotun or something.
No,
Oh.
don't call it a Jotun. Don't do that, because that's a specific, like, mythological entity. Don't. There are tested words for just tall, relatively tall people,
Big boy.
in Old English that you could use, without needing to borrow mythological entities.
Thickums.
And you know it's a real Latin word because it ends in um. Thicum, thicus, thicca.
Exactly.
Thiccatum.
Oh.
Thicoribus of the thickum.
I love it.
Cursed.
We must row in these waters. Let the sail.
Yeah. But on the things being totally nonsense, I didn't get a chance in the monastery to see kind of what imagery they're using for Christianity, but their imagery for Norse religion is they made decisions.
Yeah.
Celtic imagery is going to be a worse thing.
Oh yeah, that is
when
the
they
worst
just
one.
do it and pretend it exists in this time period.
Yeah.
But that's probably my biggest worry with this game and their quote-unquote accuracy is
Yeah.
how they're doing religion.
Of all the things, it's the religion that gets done the iffiest, and the Celts among them who get done the dirtiest. Yellow, in the church there was a stained glass window depicting somebody or other. I didn't look at it too carefully. Heck.
I didn't look at it at
We
all.
run aground. I think it might have been before you were here, Cyan.
Okay.
This was in an earlier raid. Yeah, no, you weren't here yet. This is like the very first thing we did.
Yeet.
But there was... Can I get a horse? Let's get a horse. There was a stained glass piece. I don't think stained glass was a very popular art style
Probably not in
here and
super
at
wasn't.
this time.
No, not in this time. Glazed windows, period, didn't exist yet in this part of the world, and aren't developed even in churches until I think it's the 12th century we start seeing them.
Okay.
Yeah, but mainly we don't have a lot of extremely early churches left. A lot of them kind of get rebuilt as the centuries go by and get updated into architectural styles. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, there are no stained glasses yet. It's just that that is such a Christian imagery thing
Yeah.
that the church has got to include it regardless.
Yeah. And again, it's not like this is being made up out of nowhere. It's just taken wildly out of time, which is really the main problem. Is a lot of the things that are in here are based on something. It's just that they are wildly decontextualized and kind of smushed together into a time and place that is not accurate to it. Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Fire.
Oh no, we have found Ivar Bainloisi. Oh no.
Oh, is this Ivar no legs?
Boneless.
Oh, sorry. I confused the meme name in my head with his actual name. Sorry.
Amazing. Which The saga, Ragnar Saga Lothbrokar, says that it is literally because he has no bones, because his dad couldn't wait 3 days to have sex with his mom. And therefore Ivar can do magic and also has none bones.
That seems like someone needed to spend a little bit more time in their health class.
Yes. I don't know whether it's Ragnar or the saga author or both.
Yeah. Ragnar just perpetrating, Ivar perpetrating very obscure ideas about his origin story. It's like, yeah, so, you know, my dad, that guy, just, impatient pops, couldn't wait.
Yup, says the saga from 1300. Yay for our sources, and them all being extremely late and or hard to interpret.
Okay, where are we going here? There's some stuff over wherever. I don't super care. Am I gonna die? I'm gonna die, damn it. I wish they made it clearer where the haystacks are.
I know, in the stave church in like the second synchronization point in the game, I immediately yeeted myself off the cliff and off the top of the building and nearly died.
Yep, here he is.
He's got bones.
This Mickey Rourke looking douchebag.
Yeah, for some strange and bizarre reason, Ivar has no beard, which is a surefire sign that this person is option 1, cowardly, option 2, evil. Because having a beard in Norse culture is a mark of manhood. If you're not able to grow a beard, that is an object of ridicule through your entire life. Njaal Thorgeirsson of the saga, Njaal Saga, is actually given the mocking name Dungbeard because, or specifically his sons are called Dungbeardlings because they had beards but Njaal couldn't. And that is a mark of shame for his entire life.
Wow.
So choosing Ivar to not have a beard in this is, from a historical perspective, super duper weird, and or is making a very strong argument about Ivar's personality.
You're free, Saxon piggy. Run amok.
We have
Mercy.
upgraded the snacks.
We have upgraded our snack arsenal here before us.
Woohoo!
Ooh, no. This, I get that they're trying to tell a dark and brooding story, but
I
it
would've
seems
been
like they're
that
just
easy.
over-sensationalizing a lot of this.
Also, your character looks so bored.
Yeah. Eivor doesn't seem to be particularly plussed. One would even go so far as to say that Eivor is nonplussed. But it's like everyone keeps like swearing. It sounds like,
What do you call this?
you know, I don't want to characterize the entire game based on the experience that I've had so far, but the characters all act like frat bros, and I get that, you know, Vikings were not, you know, Byzantine Greeks city-dwelling their entire lives, you know, born and bred and yada yada yada, this, that, but they all just kind of act like bodied jerks. And I don't appreciate that.
That might be a reasonable interpretation, actually.
Oh, really?
It feels bad, but the culture is incredibly hypermasculine to the point of absurdity.
Okay.
And like I've recently been reading Maria Headley's Beowulf translation, which really leans into that and makes it a source of humor. Kind of does a contrary reading, and I think it's really effective because that's something that's present in the text of being incredibly braggadocious, incredibly violent, and
The whole swimming
with a
saga.
kind of a zero-sum honor game, you always must be more renowned than the people around you, and that means you will argue with someone that you fought alongside with to the point of getting into a brawl or killing them just to prove that you are manlier than them. So this is very much a saga narrative thing, a little bit more than what we can say is definitely true in the Viking Age.
Yeah.
But that is okay, given that Ivar Benloisi is a saga character. He's historically attested in the English sources, but everything we claim about his personality is from Ragnar Saga Lodbrokar or the Fouter of Ragnarsson. So, he's a saga character through and through.
Yeah.
And making him braggadocious like that is fine. Because Ivar is frickin' scary in Ragnar Saga. To the point where the King of Northumbria, Alla, specifically says in the saga, after he kills Ragnar Lothbrok, based on the reactions of the Ragnarsons, he says the only one of them we have to fear is Ivar. And so what Ivar does is he pretends to just go, no, it's fine. Our father was a dumbass. We're just gonna let him be. And I'm not gonna go try to avenge him. He instead offers compensation to Alla and is given land. And the saga author copy-pastes Dido founding Carthage. And then he buys out Alla's entire band of retainers using his personal wealth as one of the kings of Denmark. And then invites his brothers back over to try again. And turns on Alla and goes, yeah, now you're gonna pay. And has a wood carver carve the shape of an eagle into his back. This is one of our few attestations of the blood eagle form of sacrifice. What exactly it means is a big old question. But yeah, carved an eagle into the shape of his back, so he died horribly.
Only further south. Repel the siege.
And our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
So, no more knocking. Now we batter the gate to splinters.
Oh no, apparently I turned into a robot.
Yeah, you cannot eat those.
Sorry, Cleo is attempting to eat all of the snacks that we have imported from the kitchen. You sound okay to me. I don't know if maybe it's getting patchy through OBS, but you sound fine to my ears right now.
Bizarre. Chat, let me know if I'm still a robot.
See if there's a quest in here for us, and we can probably play for another like half hour, 45 minutes, and then perhaps we call it depending on what we're able to
You cannot eat
find.
teddygrams.
Cleo, teddygrams are not good for you. Bears are higher on the food chain, so if you eat a bear, even in teddy form, the universe will explode.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so what we're doing right now is actually participating in a historical event while I am still a robot. Red just messaged me to say that apparently my audio doubled up for some reason, so I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah.
Jinkies.
Wait, Yellow, can you just say something for me? I'm gonna see if I can find anything in the waveform here.
Okay, so I will say this and then I will repeat it.
Okay.
So the scene we're seeing right now is attested in the so-called Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. I do not like that term, but I haven't found another name for that tech yet. But it says that Burkred, the king of Mercia, was deposed and was replaced by a quote foolish king's thane named Ceolwulf, who we see in this cutscene.
Yeah. Okay.
Ceolwulf, knockoff Beowulf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Stormwind.
something like that.
You'll be remembered for this for years to come.
Ceolwulf, son of Smedgthale. Hold on, real quick. Yellow, I'm going to remove your audio track from OBS and add you in again and hope that fixes things. Okay, hold on.
Cleo's like so mad. She's like, give me the snacks. I'm like, these will kill you.
Remove, and then we
They're
add
chocolate chip teddygrams. Cats can't have cocoa.
audio output capture. Discord. Default. Okay. And
Stop it.
then, Yellow, you should be back in.
Okay, let's try that again.
Okay,
less of a
hopefully
robot.
that works.
Chad, let us know if I have been redeemed from the board.
It would be an OSP stream if something wasn't wacky.
I know, we were doing so good too.
We were.
It's
We
'cause
really
I showed
were.
up. I bring the hell.
this over here? I guess this is part of our.
Also, Chad, did you hear like anything I said because I was a robot about Wolf?
Tailwolf's not a smedge tail.
Yes, exactly. I am apparently still a robot.
Still, ow, beans.
I guess I can hang up on the call and then you can call. We can call back and I'll be back in that way.
Maybe. I don't know if that would help.
Well, it can't hurt to try. We can just start the call again.
Because it was working. So
Alright,
I will
let's
be
try.
back.
All right, let's go speak with Uba.
And I am back.
And we're back. Hopefully that one works. There is some audio in the background just on account of our air, our fan, but that was there for a while, so I don't think that would have made any big difference.
Peculiar. Okay, so apparently what's happening is that OBS is picking up my voice from two sources because I've got like a synth effect, which I know happened on when you showed up on one of my streams too.
Oh.
So you may need to remove, if it's picking up both the desktop audio and my voice, that's probably causing it to double up.
You're coming through our headphones.
Yeah, even so, if it's recording the desktop audio, then it picks up me twice. Oh, it fixed it apparently.
Well,
Weird.
Okay.
Okay.
We didn't touch anything.
I will
so.
not look at gift Discord glitch getting fixed in the mouth.
To be fair, if the Discord caused the glitch, it's only fair it fixed. Stop it! You can't eat that. You can't have my snacks. You're not allowed. You have your own snacks.
Cleo is a master thief, and she don't give a fuck.
The board has let me go, and it is good.
You have been de-assimilated.
Indeed.
The board has determined you are chill, and thus have the right to individuality.
Yep.
Alright, Kingmaker Saga, let us begin.
By the way, I also, with Wolf,
I'm ready
there's
for
a
the speared in.
interesting contradiction that this game, I'll be curious to see if it represents, because I would hope
Fight
they
beside such
know
legends
that.
is an honor.
Uh,
I've only heard tales of
but
your conquests. Now I get to
we
live
have
them.
charters from Mercia, and the Welsh Chronicles describing this time period, and they all mention Ceolwulf, and they don't mention the Vikings anywhere around him. So he was perceived as a legitimate king in his own right, even if he was brought to power thanks to the Great Heathen Army, which is not 100% obvious given that we have one source that says that he was a foolish kingsthane, and then literally every later source from England just copies the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle.
Not yet
That's
crowned king,
weird.
and already
I,
booming with success.
man, I know it's obvious, like, if only we had more sources, but I'm sure if we had more sources, we would have more questions than answers. So, wild.
Yeah.
I definitely recognize why this can be such an interesting period in history, but it becomes so difficult to try and put it in a game because you have to make a bunch of very complicated choices that would weigh on, you know, teams of historians, but as a game developer you have to make a lot of concessions for gameplay, so you're put in an unenviable position. And I think we were talking about this earlier of like I genuinely feel you know some not remorse, but I feel bad for the people who had to make tough calls on this game based on the decision from the top of we're setting it in 873, make it work, and then everyone else is like, no, but I read all the stuff and all the sources are from things that are about later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I have less sympathy given that they refuse to actually tell us what sources they actually read.
fair.
Cite your sources.
Give me a source.
I've talked to the resident historian Messing around on Twitter somewhat recently, and yeah, he just was like, I don't keep track of what sources I read, and it was deeply baffling, where he literally said, it is impossible for me to keep track of all the thousands of sources I check. As like, you have a history degree. What?
Yeah, that's a yikes from me, fam. And to some degree, like, I can understand you read so many things, they melt together, you're not entirely sure which one came from what, but, like, you have to have a couple, like, big things that you worked from, like a couple main touch points. Like, oh, I was working from the sagas, or, oh, like, I was really working a lot of, you know, Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, or, you know, I was really taking a lot of my inspiration from, like, Ibn Fadlan, or whatever, insofar as his accounts are useful to England. I can give him a little bit of slack, but still fundamentally, like, you gotta be able to present, like, something as a touchstone that you worked from.
Exactly, and he gave us a few. He gave us a few sources, like Anders Winnoff's The Age of the Vikings, and the work that Joanna Story and Claire Brie have done on, like, the Anglo-Saxon Kingdoms exhibition at the British Library. So, like, yeah, and his argument was, you know, we want to focus on the big things, which is fair, except I want to, it's easier to engage with historiography when we know what that historiography is.
Yeah.
And that's important, because historiography is the big thing. You don't know where the problematic ideas in the game, like, you know, the stone carvings we just saw, within which we see a bunch of weird glowing lines, presumably for some kind of Neolithic. Given that there's a what's his face, Dro something. Regardless, one of these, like, triad stone there. That's a Neolithic site, made by historical people, and does not have weird glowy power. And so, giving it weird glowy power is putting in modern ideas of druidism upon it.
Yeah.
Like what you see at Stonehenge with the festivals there.
It's definitely par for the course of Assassin's Creed of anything old and mysterious is by default First Civilization spookies, but it's just kind of like, why though?
Exactly. And yeah, Chad.
Nephilim.
I have marked a symbol upon the stones.
Huh.
That future folk may
Here lieth still more remnants
You know
of the
what's this
Nephilim.
slideshow?
I have marked a symbol upon the stones that future folk may imbue their spirit with the energy within. For those who wish to see communion with the Lord here, be wary. He speaks through ciphers, and his words are woven with ancient fibers. He is manifest here. He hath made importance of these pillars, brought by the giants of yore, now guarding us as only he knows. Amen. Brendan of Clonfert.
Interesting. The fact that it's referencing the Nephilim specifically as another name, presumably for the Isu, our first civilization, is cool, actually, because the Nephilim being associated with giants is something that occurs in the early medieval English period, and in the literary sources from that.
Okay.
So, you know, like, fair play. If you're going to make some nonsense, making the nonsense refer to the Nephilim is not the worst choice.
Yeah.
That being said, this is based on Neolithic structures. These were made by historical people. Let's not make them super spooky, because they were made by historical people.
People made things. It was people.
It's also, I mean, I'm trying to distinguish between what is par for the course with Assassin's Creed and what, if anything, stands out about this entry in particular. I think a lot of it is the extent to which these things are done is just so much far beyond the normal, because we're dealing with a setting that is much more mysterious and unknown than previous settings, where, like, we know what was up in Victorian London. We know what was up in the Revolution, in the French Revolution. We know what was up, you know, even to a degree in the first, or in the first game, in the Third Crusades. There's a lot of this game's settings that are dealing with very documented, specific, you know, periods in history. Even, you know, when we're going back to ancient Ptolemaic Greece and Peloponnesian War. You know, we're working with fairly known quantities, but the setting that they have here is tangential to a lot of known quantities, but the things that they're actually dealing in are finicky and obscure enough to leave a lot of room for gamification, but that's just slightly irresponsible given how big of a subject the Vikings are. So again, it's the only way to win is not to play with a setting like the Vikings, and I get that, and I'm trying to not just be like, oh, this is bad, because too much, you know, online discourse is, oh, this is bad because this is bad, and that's just as far as the conversation goes. But they really box themselves into a corner by going for a setting like this, because there is so much weird, spooky stuff, you know, going on in England from the perspective of, you know, a modern observer looking at this period in history and thinking, oh, there's the Romans and the Stonehenge things and the Druids and the Vikings, and it's all so weird and cool. But then it just gets into very lazy characterization of thing unknown equals thing is spooky and magic and maybe probably evil. And it wouldn't normally be so bad, except for the fact that it happens with everything in this game. And that's really what does it for me, is the extent to which this is going on, rather than like any particular thing, because no particular thing is really that far off or that baseless or, you know, completely pulling out of nothing. It's just everything has this extra like slathering of, oh, we'll put this in because it's spooky and fun.
It's the spoopy spice.
Yep.
It's the spoopy spice.
Yep.
Everything has a big old dollop of spoopy spice on it.
Also,
Yeah, and
warning, your
one
stream
thing I
is
think they're not doing well
Damn it.
is that they are not distinguishing between the period as people in the period imagined it and all the ways that it is different from the present. And then they are not distinguishing between the 13th century and 14th century Icelandic sagas, looking backwards at the Viking Age and saying these are all the things that were going on, regardless of whether those were actually what was going on. And then it is not distinguishing that yet again from the ways that it is modern people's conceptions of the Vikings, and the ways that is yet a third thing that is different from the historical reality and the historical objectively demonstrable facts of the time period. So there are like 4 different layers of things going on, but they are freely blending together, and they're not distinguishing which one they're doing when, and that is causing problems.
Do their limbs glow?
Yeah, everyone has a weak spot.
Why?
Huh. For a lot of them, I'm guessing it's their face. That seems like a good weak
Sometimes it's
spot.
their leg.
Weird.
It's an interesting, because like you would be able to tell like if they're favoring one leg over another, but I mean, you're also better armored than they are. I imagine your strategy would be just fuck them up. Like,
Actually, it looks like we're probably worse armored than they are. It looks like they may be wearing chainmail under their tunics.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
what
They
it
are in
looks
fact
like.
not doing that.
That's fair.
And again, some of these guys are armored differently.
Yeah, no, that's some chainmail.
Some of these guys are kitted out and they almost look like Byzantines, and I don't know if that's just
Viking
my
guys
lack
look
of
like
knowledge about early medieval like English British Isles armaments, or if they just thought, oh, cataphracts look cool, let's dress everyone up like that. And again, the problem is that I can't tell, because this game is such a mixed bag that you have to verify everything, even the things that are right, because this game does so much wrong that it doesn't let you take things on face value, even when they are true.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely comparisons, but like, the level scale now, I mean, it's coming out of, like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, and the dwarves in the Hobbit movies.
That guy's weak spot is just both knees.
Yep.
John, please do not use the term Dark Age Britain in this chat, because that is Probably my greatest pet peeve.
Yeah, Dark Ages is not a descriptive term.
Dark Ages are not real. The 9th century is not a dark age in any really meaningful sense. This is the early Middle Ages, or this is the 9th century with all of its complexity. This is not an age that is uncultured. This is not an age we have a lack of sources about, though the source record can be thin.
It's
is an
thin, not
incredibly
non-existent.
vibrant period of cultural production.
I keep seeing Tamworth in the top corner, and like my brain just goes, the Tamil Kings, every single time.
Who were the Tamil Kings? The merchants, probably.
The wrong time.
Yeah. No, to second your point, Dark Ages is not a term that we fuck with
Even
on
the
OSP
Greek
or otherwise.
Red, even the like post-sea people's Greek quote-unquote Dark Age is only like sourceless for the people that got wiped out. We have a pretty good source record as far as you can have it for like the 10th century BC for the rest of the world.
Yeah. The Greeks may have lost the writing ability, and Mycenaean culture may have gone, but definitely not a
Amazingly, people stop
worldwide
writing things down
problem.
when they stop existing.
What?
Amazingly, people stop writing things down when they stop existing.
Yeah. But
Gasp.
I can definitely like understand the point of like just because the Greeks were, or like the people in Greece weren't, you know, up and on their reading lists, doesn't mean that they were, you know, hold on, I'm trying to shoot this man. It doesn't mean that the entire world stopped. Dark Age at best is a relative term. I am more lenient on Dark Age for that particular period in Greece, but you know, as a qualified term, it definitely does not apply to the medieval period. I'd be willing to put some debate for you know, ancient pre-Bronze Age, post Bronze Age, pre-Archaic Greece, but for medieval England, no, that shit does not fly.
Nah, the only Dark Age I care about is right before the Big Bang.
That
Pretty
is a-
dark,
that is a
man!
package.
The only real Dark Age in history. Changed my mind.
Why? It's just true. Also, are you knocking those people like 7 feet and then they're just dying because they
No,
fell
they're
off the
falling
building?
off the roof.
Yeah, they're falling off a 7-foot roof and dying. Because I am almost dead. I deeply need
You
help.
have like 1 HP and I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Oof.
It wouldn't be an OSP stream if I was doing well.
I mean, it wouldn't be an OSP stream if I wasn't eating snacks for dinner rather than making actual food.
Let's see if there's some snacks over here.
There's snacks right in front of you.
No, but like
Health
Avor snacks.
snacks?
Yeah.
You know, Red makes a good point. It's before the Big Bang in age if there is no time.
Whew. Okay, we're in it now. On. Game. Give me plants.
Ooh. I just saw a picture of a teacup holster.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't know why you'd need to have a teacup holstered. But like,
Because it's awesome.
yeah, that's fair.
Like, when would you not want a teacup holster?
It's like, just want to let you know I'm concealed carrying. What? My teacup. That's how you get
You
kicked
never
out of the
know.
U.S. Mint again. Anyway. I told you about the time my dad
Yes.
couldn't go in the U.S. Mint, right? Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun. Also, I keep seeing memes about coffee, and now I'm like, ooh, I can make coffee. I don't need coffee. I already have a caffeine-induced migraine.
Oh no.
But I could have coffee anyway. The pros and cons of life.
Indeed.
Alright, I so desperately need food.
Yeah. I'm amazed you're still standing.
As am I. Like, honestly, game, anything.
Literally, if
Anything.
any of these guys had not Stormtrooper aim, you would be dead.
Oh, absolutely. In a ditch. Man, that's frustrating. Maybe if I go down here. Are those plants? Will you help me? No. Useless.
It is a plant. It's just not the plant you want.
It's very hard to tell which plants are like food plants and which plants are nothing useless garbage plants.
If you do the little eagle, does it show you?
It does not.
It's see where you can collect things, but it doesn't actually tell you like this is a food plant.
Legal eagle.
Legal Eagle, good YouTube channel.
Is that actually a YouTube channel?
Yeah, he's a guy. He does videos about like law.
Ah, bless up for Legal Eagle. You get a
always wears
shout
a
out
suit.
even though I didn't know who you were.
He's very dapper in his YouTube videos. Red and I are animated. Legal Eagle always shows up suited and ready to go.
I like
Alright, now I
one
help.
day I want to have the kind of job just for like a week where you gotta wear like a full ass suit to work. I work in a lab, so like you just gotta wear pants. Just pants. Nothing else.
Doesn't mean you can't wear a suit. It's just that it's wildly overdressed.
True. The suit jacket would be a little hard under the lab coat.
Understandable.
People are calling for a Legal Eagle collab. I don't even know what you would collab on.
Unless he wants to talk about like the fucking law code of Justinian, I don't think I've got anything for him.
Hammurabi's code?
Actually, it would be kind of rad.
Could be neat. Alright. Maybe we can
Apparently he's in the Lindsay Ellis and Megaverse video.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
I hate
He
that I know
is.
what that is.
I also hate that I know what that is. Red, I blame you.
Well, Red's the one who put it in the chat. So.
Oh, okay.
And everyone's like, the Omegaverse is cursed, Red, and they haven't even heard me say the exact same thing.
I mean,
I also don't think I actually have any pantsuits. I think I have skirt suits.
Oh, that's different.
To be fair, I only have one suit that like matches and isn't just like pieces pieced together from like various Model UN conferences in high school. And that's only because I owned the skirt. Or, no, I owned the blazer because I got from Marshall's, and then like years later I found the matching skirt. And I was like, yeah, I have a suit now.
The set is complete.
nice.
Come, brothers. Let's end this.
You're doing a pretty good job now that you found food.
Now that I have more than a 1 hit point buffer between me and death, I'm okay.
You only need one.
You only need one. You really only need one.
Yo, no.
Also, shoutouts to food for instantly healing you from arrows.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just like a little snack and Avor's good to go.
Food is truly the greatest
No,
invention of
you
our
don't
time.
understand. These are my medicinal snacks.
It's like a Snickers commercial. Avor, you're not you when you're hungry.
You're dead.
Eat these random ass berries you found in the woods.
Did I tell you that we have mice at work now?
What?
Yeah.
Gross.
Well, they haven't gotten to my stuff yet, but ironically, they got into like the in vivo teams stuff.
That's hilarious.
Like the animal study people. They said like probably 10 feet behind me, and I was like, I'm surprised they went for like your stuff and not mine. Apparently, they used to have Snickers in their in like their cabinet.
Well, that would be why.
Well, yes, but this is like, I want to say like probably over 6 months ago, so I still don't know why. We have like little mouse traps off, but they keep ignoring them and just climbing into people's drawers instead.
Oh gosh.
Trying to steal your food. Oh no, sorry Red, not lab mice. We do have lab mice, but they don't roam free in the cubicle area.
Oh. Oh, that's gross.
Lab mice are well taken care of back in the animal study area, which that's actually the big thing they're worried about is if the if the non-animal study mice
Oh,
get back to where
no.
the animal
Oh.
where the, Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Well, it could be bad, but it's not bad yet. And also,
Okay.
it's kind of not bad.
That is fair.
Oh, interesting. This longhouse that you're standing next to,
Yeah.
I like way more than like your actual longhouse that you have.
Must be
It still is
blocked
too
from the other
big,
side.
but
You
it's
have your
less
own
too big,
house.
and also better fits our reconstructions.
Nice.
To completely derail the conversation.
How many Assassin's Creed games can you own property in?
You can own property in 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, 3, 4,
Unity and Syndicate both. have it.
Rogue. Really? In?
I know Syndicate does because you got the hideout.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, you had the Cafe Theater in Unity. I don't think there's anything in Origins. Oh, that man glitched. There we go. I don't think there's anything in Origins, but almost every other piece of Assassin's Creed media does have some form of property ownership.
Why do multiple people want me to train the lab mice or the wild mice?
For the memes.
I did offer to bring in Cleo. They said no.
Yeah.
That's probably for the best because Cleo would absolutely hate that. She is
You
afraid
would have
of
to
the
do
outside.
work, and that's unthinkable.
No, she just doesn't like being outside.
Ah,
She's like, so we thought she would like going outside because she like loves sitting near the window and watch the goings on, and if we open the window she'll like run to it and like put her head out, but always with like the screens. So we figured, you know, maybe she'll like to go outside. We got her a little vest and took her right outside the door, and she cried and ran back inside.
so it's me 2020.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Cleo was staying at home before it was cool, and will stay at home when it is no longer cool.
Whew, shield bash that man into oblivion. How many people are in this fort?
A lot apparently. Oh, this is one of the nonsense people that you just brutal killed. I have no idea where that helmet
Need to
comes
get
from.
on the other side.
Oh.
I think it's Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
That still only counts as one.
Oh, there's the key.
Because I have no bloody clue where those like metal straps coming off of a helmet comes from.
It might be Lord of the Rings. I can't mentally place it. I'm not exactly great with like Lord of the Rings costumes.
Easterlings.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the movies a lot, but I've read the books more.
Yeah, same.
So like my mental image of how I expect things to look overwhelms the like how things actually look, with the exception of like the main characters. Like Legolas is Legolas.
Yeah, so we've got like a lot of these like square piece mosaic, or not mosaic, stained glass tiles, and some places have actual like stained glass
I think those are like
artworks.
wrought iron, not.
Yeah. if
These
those-
ones
if
are
those
wrought iron
just wrought
with
iron.
glass. These are colored.
Oh,
Yeah, the colored one is not historically accurate. The wrought iron one with no glass inside would be plausible.
Yeah.
the thing about the stained glass is like, it's interesting that they went with the squares, because like I imagine they're like, oh well, you know, it's like they're doing stained glass, but they haven't done like complex shapes yet. But I imagine like making perfect even squares would be harder, because you need to like cut straight angles rather than like rounded pieces. I don't know. I'm not like an expert glass worker, but having worked with shards of glass for a little bit, it's not, they don't usually break in like nice corners.
Yeah, you'd have to kind of put a groove in it first in order to make it break
Yeah.
straight.
Whereas like if you're doing like a rounded shape, you can kind of just piece together a lot of little broken pieces to make close to a rounded shape. I don't know. Stained glass people sound off in the comments.
What on earth am I supposed to be doing here?
My eyes.
Did I get the things? Oh, there's something in the longhouse.
Go in it.
There's no
Uh,
roof entrance.
Then try going through not the roof.
Somewhere you can kind of shoot the door, so from the other side. So.
Can you just bust through the side? Wait, can you go back a little bit? I mean, it might be that door right there, but it looked like behind the boxes.
This might be. Yeah, this might be it. Okie doke. Sorry, we spent so much time in this one dumb camp.
It's a good camp.
Yeah, it's the camp. That,
Though the banners on this longhouse are total nonsense.
Yeah. Yes.
110% nonsense. They're supposed to be kind of the crest of Wessex. Or sorry, not the crest, the coat of arms of Wessex, but not the one for Edward the Confessor, which is used for Alfred the Great elsewhere. Oh, actually no, it's not Wessex, it's Mercia. Duh.
Obviously.
It's not attested that there's a two-headed eagle from Mercia. First, and then also, that design is whack.
Yeah. Wessex
Double-headed
has
eagles don't look
the
like that.
cross with the 3 birds. Or the 5 birds.
That's an excessive amount of birds.
There are
Yeah.
only 4 birds in the game, despite there being supposed to be 5, and also the field is supposed to be blue, not red.
Yes. Yeah, they just did that for style points, and that's why I was really confused, because at the beginning, when I first saw the trailer, I'm like, is that a Byzantine flag? Is that a Palaiologos flag in 9th century England? What?
That would be
And then I realized, oh no, it's just dumb Wessex.
Start referring
but
to
also
things
that
ages.
that coat of arms is from the 13th century and is assigned to 11th century Edward the Confessor, and then is getting further back assigned to 9th century Alfred the Great.
How?
It's barred
Must be blocked from the other side.
from the other side.
Can you just light it on fire?
No.
Just light the whole house on fire. They'll come running.
Fair?
That's right.
That is an option. You could totally just light it on fire. It is made of thatch.
Oh,
Apparently, you can do exactly that.
I don't know if it'll spread.
Even if it doesn't, that might burn a hole in it.
I mean, I feel like Assassin's Creed has never been that into physics objects. I was just gonna say, like,
No.
maybe they'll come running outside now that their building is on fire.
Perhaps. What about you?
Oh, hilarious. Okay, so it's just a stone building that happens to have thatch coverings.
Yeah.
Wild.
Whack.
Truly.
It is
a
spreading.
It is spreading now.
Like, a lot, actually.
Maybe that was just the trick. Just Trogdor the Burninator, shoot the thatch roof cottages.
Nice.
There we go.
That's a fire.
Collapse. Collapse. Collapse.
Show me what lies
It's not
ahead.
gonna collapse because it's stone with a thatch roof, but
But that's not how thatch roofs work. You
Oh, this
can't
game is
just
so
do
silly.
that.
that spreads so fast.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Like, I was kind of joking.
I fully didn't expect it to work.
Did they leave the building yet?
No, there's just some treasure inside that is now on fire.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
This is an on-fire treasure.
The door is still barred?
Could
Are
be
you
a
kidding
nursery.
me? What about this?
Also, that smoke keeps flickering on my screen.
Yeah, no, it's
Deeply
janky.
disconcerting.
It's pretty janky.
My question is, like, why are the people in the building not leaving the building?
There aren't actually any people in there.
Oh, I thought that's what the red thing is.
No, that's the door.
Then how'd they bar it from the inside?
Good question. Oh, this is dumb.
Because my thought is, like, the people would leave and unbar the door.
Oh man, I am enjoying my time with this game, I think, but so much of this game is just dumb.
Can you light
Such
the
a-
other door in the back on fire?
Good question.
Such a ringing endorsement of this game, though. I'm having fun with it, I think, probably.
Green wants to know if we can get a pronunciation guide for the locations on the stream.
Absolutely not.
I can do it.
Yeah, I don't think
Since
they were asking you.
Oh, okay.
You're not that important.
Which, the one we're supposed to be kind of generally in of Leicester is modern day Leinster, which in the 12th century is actually given a different etymology. So Leicester is in the Domesday Book, or Doomsday Book from 1086, but is also given Geoffrey of Monmouth gives it the etymology Leoncestra, or the city of Leon, derived from the Welsh Caer Lerion, or the city of Lear. As in King Lear.
Yeah.
Neat.
As in that one. Whose kids are in this game.
Lear.
For
Yeah,
some reason.
whose children inexplicably show up to cause you to have a bad time.
So yeah, we're
Where are
in
these people
Leicester Shira.
Question.
And can they unbar the door?
Look, lads, let's strike a deal. You unbar the door, I let you go. I don't want you dead, I just want your stuff.
Exactly.
Has the door burned out yet?
Need
No.
to get on the other side.
Maybe you're just
I'm
supposed to light the
amazed.
door on fire.
These guys' AI is less developed than AC1's, it seems. Because in AC1, just on Saturday, because I am streaming that on Saturdays over on my channel, twitch.tv/LudoHistory.
Link
Check
in the description.
I got in a pit in European Crusader camp, and killed everyone but one guy inside of it, and then the guy started running away. And you would think after
Yeah.
murdering 20 guys, the last two would try and run away.
Whoa, would bounce.
Yeah, because turns out that's not a good, straight up not work. But no. Admittedly, I should counteract my own point by saying that the guy immediately got stuck in an AI loop and would get
Oh.
on and off the ladder and trapped me in the pit for 5 minutes.
Aw.
But yeah, I'm using that as kind of a way to compare, since that's the last time Assassin's Creed was actually in the Middle Ages. And also was actually about assassins.
Yeah.
That's like
Everyone
the
else
only
just had
time
the
it's
name.
actually
These
been
are like
about
the
the
actual
assassin.
like historical, well, a rough approximation of the Hashishin. Everything else
Yeah.
is just fancy window dressing.
How can you not go into the building that is actively on fire yet?
I know.
Like-
I'm upsetty.
Also, why is
I-
this side not burning?
If anyone's played this game, please.
Someone
Tell
says,
me what I
can you
need to-
break one of the windows?
Let's try that.
There's got to be a secret tunnel. There seems to be no other option. I'm pretty sure you have the key that opens the door.
That was a different door.
Different door. So the roof was only charred black. Someone's just singing secret tunnel in the comments. Santa down the chimney? Question mark, question mark. One
is no
side
chimney
it
in
was
these
clearly
buildings.
wet, and that's why it's not on fire.
Yeah. By the way, there are no chimneys in longhouses. There is instead a small opening near the top of the longhouse with which smoke can escape. But it is probable that everyone in the Viking Age suffered from eye diseases because of this quantity of smoke
Oh,
inside
yeah.
the buildings.
Someone said try a hole. Someone says it's not stone, it's wattle and daub. Sure. I'm
No.
pretty sure it's stone though.
Yeah, Wattle and Daub is later medieval development. It's not in the Viking Age. Buildings where they're made of stone or they're made of wood.
And like you can actively see the rocks.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're on about. Secret,
Hang on.
secret,
Ooh,
secret, secret
there was
tunnel
a
through the
thing in that building with
The tapestry?
the statue of a king or the picture of a king.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more.
Oh yeah, I forgot that there's like a tropical
Here we go.
storm going on right now.
Oh, jeez.
Oh
Not-
yeah, that is happening. Everyone in Florida, please stay safe.
And like just anyone who's being affected by this storm. Which is currently for us mostly Florida. But it's hit a lot of other places on its way
Yeah,
to Florida.
Cuba and Puerto Rico as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That is actually a very standard depiction of an early medieval monarch. The sword being gripped the wrong way around is standard early English, and the orb of the world, is also, though it looks like it has a tree instead of a cross, which is weird.
Wait, sorry, someone
I
said
don't know
light
who that's
bulb
supposed to be,
torches
though.
in front of the
That
door.
might be Alfred.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
I don't. The problem is you're actually like a little bit early for this game.
Maybe I just shouldn't be here. Oh, these torches are lit.
Yeah.
Try the other door.
I'm not super sure who that is supposed to be, but I know that is an actual medieval. That is an actual drawing from the Middle Ages, copy pasted
Nice.
into that building.
That's cool.
Yeah. Again, occasionally they just randomly put museum pieces in for some reason,
There's only one torch on this door.
and pretend that that makes everything good.
The sign must be barred.
You can't just light the door on fire.
Wow, that just straight up did not light the building on fire.
Yeah.
Is there anything to shoot? Nope. wrong
Stretch
button.
your wings.
No.
The character said go around back.
Alright. We had like a place that looked like it could have been something, but it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yep.
Also, is the building just no longer on fire?
Building is no longer on fire.
Now it's just toasted. Someone said
Yeah.
you could try to look for that smoke hole and see if.
No, this one doesn't have it.
They put wooden grates over it.
Would those have not
And
burned
this-
when you lit the entire building on fire?
We can check.
I mean, theoretically, if this was working like an actual physics object, you should be able to now just go through the roof.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not gonna let you do that. But then again, I wasn't expecting the building to light on fire. So.
No. Indestructible wooden grates.
Yep. As we do.
Man, this dumb game. And again, I'm probably the dumbass here for not figuring it out, but like, clearly there's something.
Is there any underground passages through any of the other buildings, maybe?
I can look around. There's still someone in here. There's still people in here. Where
No,
are
I
you
think
guys
they're
coming
just
from?
respawning, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I think you've just spent enough time in here that they've respawned.
I think we may just want to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's
Leave.
onward to wherever the hell this quest is.
Tamil Kings.
Fortress.
Yes.
Alright. Sons of Ragnar. Let's get a move on. Then we can do this quest and then I think maybe we call it a stream. Can't believe we spent so much time in that dumb fort. Ah! I mean, like, knowing this game, there probably is an underground passageway somewhere, but, like, Yellow, longhouses didn't have underground passageways,
No.
did they?
No.
Yeah.
The closest we get is in Iceland. Longhouses would often have a adjacent building that would be somewhat buried. That would be the wave-ats to help make way and skier. But that's
Okay.
about the closest you get.
Yeah, that's not the same
But there is
thing.
one case from the 13th century where a farm in Iceland, in northern Iceland, called Flugumýri, gets burned down, and the owner of the farm, Gizur Thorvaldsson, hides inside the wave-ats. Somehow they don't find him, and then he's able to sneak out of the wave-ats into the church, where he is safe from being killed wantonly because everyone was Christian, and it's bad form to kill someone inside a church.
Yeah.
It's frowned upon generally.
That's how
Yeah.
that's how Robert the Bruce got excommunicated, because he killed a dude in a church.
Exactly. And the Bishop of Skalholt and Holar would and did excommunicate people at will for doing literally anything they didn't like.
Alright, are we gonna go ruin these guys' day?
You're at least gonna try.
What is his armor?
Good question.
Fish scales.
Leofrith, what are you wearing?
Fish scales.
No, not the Viking dude. The English guy, Leofrith,
Oh, I wasn't looking.
We'll cut back to him in a second.
who's got the freaking like medallions. He's like an over-decorated general.
Yeah, it's like MCU Thor.
He was just like, you know what would be fun? Let's put brass plates on everything, because that will work better than actual armor.
Also, shoutouts to this 13th century castle.
Yeah, that's pretty
Not to worry.
pretty
Yeah,
bad.
mercy on our own.
Cause yeah, that's not. While fortresses were starting to exist in this time, mostly hill forts. This kind of square castle is super 13th century.
Yeah. Because the first castles in England were William's Mott and Bailey castles that he built after Hastings, but we don't get, like, stone castles in this kind of construction for, yeah, 13th century, for a good while after that, and we especially don't get, like, towered castles like we see in some parts of the game, I think further down in Wessex. Those are way the hell later.
Exactly. I've not seen anything that is aggressively a Gothic castle yet.
Yeah.
But, we might have some Gothic castles before we're done.
I got careless and bumped my tea mug into my teeth.
Oh no.
We're
You okay?
taking
Yeah, I'm
Tamworth
fine.
tonight.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You want me to beat it up for you?
No, it's okay.
I'll fight it. I'll do it.
Just yeet the teacup.
Is that the 8-cup soda one?
Yeah, this is the
I've seen
soda.
it in action.
Where am I going? You have a question mark over your head. I don't care. Can't be bothered.
Teacher, I have a question. No.
Uh-huh. And Ivar, or Hingwar, to use the Old English name, and Hubba, to be named the other one,
I'm with
being
the
the two that
Requisits.
lead the raid
It's
on
time to roll
Mercia
out the battering
is
ram.
correct.
Countries wanted to fight. Now we're
They are the
giving
ones
one.
who are said in the
Are you
Anglo-Saxon
ready to
Chronicles
march
to
now?
do that.
Let's
Oh,
go.
is this a flighting?
It's time to capture a kingdom.
No. This is just talking to someone
Oh.
before we
Okay.
get ready for our battle.
Dang.
I
was
think
hoping that
flightings
would be a
are
flighting.
signified with a special icon in the world.
Jail there.
Okay.
Something wrong.
Dang. I was hoping there was one so I could laugh at how bad it is.
Not 2 weeks ago, Leofrid showed me how to wield a
Cause,
greatsword.
yeah, they made it alternating lines
Often at the point of spear.
with educational rap flow.
Least of all with Leofrid. He was only
It
following
does.
orders.
It does have that
Otherwise,
kind
the
of
inspired
educational
them to
rap
tend and
flow.
stay there.
Do not think me a coward.
And it's
Terrible.
it's silly because I mean I get it from a gameplay perspective. You can't build
There's no other
that
way.
kind of
Fight or hide.
like
It's
lyrical
up to you.
creation into anything you can do on a controller, but it seems silly that it's 1, 2, 3 lines from your opponent and then you just jump in with one to finish the set, but that's about all you can do is pick one of 3 options that vaguely fits the meter. It's again like there's no way to do this in a way that really works. It's just gonna seem silly in the end no matter what.
Exactly. It's guaranteed silly. By the way, unrelated, but I think that English guy, Chailbert, said that he's a man who knows how to wield a greatsword. And I am speechless.
The tiny kid?
Yeah.
Destroy the
Or said that Leofrith knew how to use a greatsword or something. I just saw greatsword pop up on screen and then was horrified.
Because
There's
that's
a
not.
battering ram?
Yeah, I think this is made up.
I mean, I just don't imagine the Vikings would have been big on battering rams.
I can't imagine either.
They used them. They didn't look like this. The ram's head on them is primarily a 14th century into the early modern period stylization.
Yeah.
So it is not a 9th century ram, but they did use battering rams to help knock down.
Push through! Push through!
Wait a minute. Are we going back to the same stupid fucking fort that I just spent all my... God, this game!
Seriously?
We're back in... Yeah, we are...
They're in Tamworth again?
We are in Tamworth again. God, I hate it when
Well,
games do this.
At least everyone's already dead except well, they are. Everyone respawn.
Ugh. I hate this because it punishes you for exploring. Because you explore and you can't do it, and then all your effort you spent to explore is nullified when you have to come back for the story. Oh, that is frustrating. That is frustrating. In Tsushima, a lot of these comparisons are going to be unfavorable in comparison to things that Ghost of Tsushima did a lot better. In Tsushima, when you go to a place that you're not supposed to go to, it's like danger, encountering an area of overwhelming enemy force, and then you get arrow pelted into oblivion about 3 seconds later. So they take that choice away from you and make it so that the only time that you can actually, oop, I got yeeted, that you can actually like go to the place to do the fight is when you're there for the story. That is a smart concession because it stops you from getting into a unwinnable combat lock of being in a fortress with infinitely respawning dudes and a longhouse that won't burn down. Oh, man, I am mad. That made me unreasonably angry. Oh, I have to destroy the palisade. I feel bad that I don't play very well when I'm on stream, but too many distractions.
Also, this combat system is not really... I don't like how it's mapped with buttons all that well. It's like Dark Souls, but worse.
Yes. Yes.
So
it tries to do the Dark Souls vibe, but it feels slow and kind of clunky because there is a big delay between when you push the button and when your hit lands. Usually in combat systems for games, the delay between putting the input, or between giving the input and the hit landing will be fairly quick, but it's the recovery that takes a long time. In this game, the lead up takes a long time and the recovery is fairly quick, which seems really weird. It makes the combat feel slower than it is because you're waiting for your first hit to brace real quick. Because you're constantly waiting for your first hit to land, and then the second one comes fairly after when the button input is received, but then it's still a decent amount of time for the hit to land. So it's like baffling choices. So hold on, I need to leave to get more health. I'm gonna die. There's so many head scratchers in this game where it's like, why did you do it like this? And I don't make games. It's easy for me to throw stones when I'm not the one who has to work on the deadline, under crunch to make this thing. But like this, I really should have playtested this more, guys. Ubisoft, you have the budget. You can put in the effort to playtest it. So please playtest it.
Yeah. Giving you a lot of downtime to kind of wander through the world and play set piece. I don't love this approach, but it's just not great.
Well, boy, do I have a lot of material for next week's Assassin's Creed Valhalla realism review. Oh, that's gonna be a fun one.
Yep. Oh wait, to kind of address the thing we haven't yet on that whole realism. We are playing as female Eivor right now?
Yes, I let the animus decide, but I've been female Eivor the whole game so far. I don't know how and if it actually changes.
Incredible. So, the historical accuracy side of this is kind of dubious, but it is still a good thing that they, I think, on balance, that they have normalized it. Oh, sorry, I moved away from my microphone. Francisco, that's my bad. Anyway, so there is increasing amounts of evidence that there were sometimes women who went on raids. The most clear-cut example of this probably is the grave in Birka, Sweden, BJ581, excavated with a team including Neil Price. Though there are plenty of other explanations as to why this was a female skeleton buried in a high status warrior grave that has been or a high status grave that's been interpreted since the 1800s as a warrior grave. So it is becoming increasingly likely, but it is without a doubt a fairly small minority who probably historically did this, and may even be primarily a literary trope with texts like Hervararsa. That being said, making something fairly close to gender equality in your raiding group is good, because it just is, and you should always, it makes the game less friendly to white supremacists, and that's good.
Because it pushes back against the hypermasculine narratives that dominate the mischaracterization of history among those groups. I think it is a definitely worthwhile exercise to take something that has a grounding in reality and expand upon it, rather than, you know, to just completely make something up. So, like, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, no, it's that easy. All I needed was a second person. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like, playing as Cassandra is not fully baseless, but what's funny is that being a woman warrior is more believable than, like, Pericles giving you the time of day as a woman in ancient Greece. So it's completely, you know, plausible that there could be a character like Cassandra, you know, going around and fighting and doing whatever, but for Cassandra to be, like, wheeling and dealing in the politics of ancient Greece and Athens and Sparta that just would never have flown, because the ancient Greeks were so sexist. With this, it's like they're working with, you know, evidence and extrapolating a little bit, but they're definitely not pulling this one out of their asses.
Yep.
Which is good. And then even this is like, this is the kind of concession where it is for the sake of pushing back against aggressively white supremacist hypermasculine narratives. So that is no complaints from me on that one.
Exactly. Because, yeah, there are a lot of... This game needs to do a lot of work to make itself unfriendly to white supremacists, and it's good when it does that.
Yeah.
So,
Ivar, snoring.
Yeah, it's so much for female Eivor.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's another case where if it's a literary trope, I actually like it, because there is a saga in which a woman disguises herself as a man in order to sail around and retrieve her father's cursed sword. It is Hervarar saga, and Hervar is a terrible person, but also extremely badass and makes good poetry. And that's really all that matters in the end.
Am I misremembering that women can't get into Valhalla? I've heard that somewhere, and I don't know if that's true or not.
It's never said.
Okay.
Anyway, our extensive sources on who gets into Valhalla or not are like the Edicon Gridnismal and what Snorri Sturluson says 200-something years later.
Okay.
So, like, it's pretty much never said, but it's... All it says in Gridnismal is that half of the slain are chosen by Freya each day, and the other half by Odin. So half of them supposedly then maybe go to Folkvanger, and then the rest of them go to Valhalla.
Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't sure where I heard that from. I'm like, is that right? That seems... yeah, and then I got distracted and never bothered to look into it more to figure that out. Although it's like, what would I Google? Rules for getting into Valhalla, eligibility requirements?
Yeah, leads you into some nasty corners of the internet.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
Alrighty, let's see. I think we have finished our quest. As usual, as for doing story missions on stream, I have no idea what's going on. I'm not reading the subtitles. I can't hear the dialogue. But we've taken the fort that I struggled for 20 minutes to break down the front door to. Such is life. Now I will know better than to explore the world and try to discover. Just beeline the story.
Oh, yep. And by the way, one final note on that, because I'm seeing it by like the Metra. Folkvanger is not mentioned in any narrative related to Ragnarok at all. It is mentioned once in Grimnismal, like once in the Prozeda, and never gets mentioned again, so we know fuck all about it.
And that's
much
it.
less what role Freya plays in Ragnarok, because she's not mentioned in any source about Ragnarok at all.
Gotcha.
Because why would you mention the female deities?
Ambient
Yay for
sexism?
yikes takes from the Middle Ages.
Gosh. Oh, it's snowy to the north. I wonder if that's Northumbria? Oh yeah, see those masks, it'll be a little bit delayed for you, Yellow, but those masks in the distance are flightings.
Okay.
Anyway, this has been our first look together into the historical world of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for better and worse, and sometimes better than we'd expect, and sometimes worse than we'd hope. Any last thoughts for today before we call it a stream?
Overall, like, in my experience of playing this game, I have been pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
There is more good than the marketing made me fear.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the Viking Age is deeply, deeply entwined with modern political ideologies, which
Yeah.
are often extremely problematic. And if your Vikings media is just trying to cash in on it being, them being cool right now, and is not engaging with that scary, scary scholarship, then how dare you make a Vikings game right now?
Yeah,
Ooh, spooky scholarship.
The thing for me is, like, making a Viking game set in this period of time was a mistake. It was objectively a mistake and a bad decision
Absolutely.
they shouldn't have done.
And
I think
also setting it in jolly old England was just straight up a mistake.
Yeah, that said, they did better than I would have feared. Still bad enough to the point where I have to second guess everything in front of me because there's so many things that are wrong that I can't take things for granted just on face value in the way that we can with other games. Again, I'm repeating myself, but we're in conclusion mode, so we're being analytical here. I think insofar as this is the hand that we're dealt, it could be a lot worse, and they're clearly going for a pastiche of a lot of different aspects of English, Roman, Celtic, Scandinavian culture smooshed on top of each other and condensing about 10 centuries of stuff into a midpoint of 873, where we have things that reach out into the 1200s, we have things that reach back into the 400s, we have Celts that act like the way, Roman historians describe them, which would have been way out of date by the time this game takes place. So, I recognize what they're trying to do, but setting a game in Viking history in the current, political climate of, people trying to co-opt this stuff for nasty reasons just was a mistake. And this year as a setting did them no favors. Later 900s, 1000s, you can work with it. You can play it a little easier, but 800s, Great Heathen Army, not a winning setting.
No, not at all a winning setting. And I will hesitate to say overall better than I expected until we see the Welsh Marchers.
Yeah. Do we
Because,
get that in this
boy,
game?
What?
Do we get
You
the
can't go
Marchers?
into Wales, go into almost Wales.
Okay, okay.
Which
Wales
is supposedly where the people who throw corpses as weapons are
Right.
located. So,
Yeah.
we have that to look forward to.
Cool. Oh, God. Okay, well.
Just change
Yup.
Welsh to Welsh.
Oh,
Yep.
boy. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate your viewership and spending some time with us today. Stay tuned for a realism review, which ultimately will go into less depth than what we were able to talk about on our 2.5 hours today, but will be more concise if you want to get a nice overall picture and some more analytical thoughts rather than, taking apart things as we see them. So, in any case, I have been Blue, and I have been joined by Cyan
It me.
and Yellow.
Yes, and I am also on twitch.tv/LudoHistory, and we'll be streaming a different game, Vikings Wolves of Midgard, which is a Diablo clone actually, in 90 minutes. So at 7 p.m. Central Time, I will be doing my own stream where I will attempt to kind of look at the mechanics and kind of see where some of their even more troubling representations of the Vikings come from. So if you've enjoyed this, be prepped for that later this evening.
Yep. If you want to know where to find that, you can click open the little See More box in the description, and it'll take you to twitch.tv/LudoHistory. LUDO history.
Do you not know how to spell history?
HYZ.
TKY?
His C. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Yeah, no, bye.